Okay, happy Friday, everybody. We're wrapping up our week before we get in the weekend with some mindful movement. And I'm gonna close this. I forgot to close this curtain because usually it helps a little bit with the light. There we go. Okay, hopefully we'll have good lighting because today it's a little too hot to keep the door open. Okay, so we're starting here in what I call the neutral position. And the neutral position is sitting right at the edge of your chair. And for today, actually, I'm going to show it. Other times I show it usually facing the front. But for once, I'm going to show it this way so that I can describe everything here. So see here, I'm sitting at the very edge of the chair. That's the back of the chair if I'm sitting facing you. And I want to have plenty of space to work with between my back and the back of the chair so that when we're doing movement like this, that we'll eventually maybe do, or when we're twisting, or any movement that we're going to use the 360-degree angle all around the body, we want to have as much space as possible to do that. We don't want to be constricted by the chair. But also, it's a little harder to round the back and slope back when you're sitting at the edge versus sitting in the middle of the chair. That by default, it already calls for that position here. Whereas here, where you have more space underneath the legs, more space in the back, the tendency for the body is finding its way to its natural position, natural posture, where we have a slight curving, a slight slope in the low back. Tailbone is reaching back a little bit, and the hips are tilting forward a bit, so that there's no compression, there's no constriction, there's no compression right at the hips. It's really important to have hip mobility to connect the torso to the legs, and that's really essential in any kind of movement. If your spine is compressed and rounding, not only it compromises your movement, but it compromises your breathing, because you're closing up onto the lungs, and therefore the full capacity of the breath cannot be present. Then you're bringing your feet hip distance apart. And hip distance apart from the feet to the knees, you're bringing everything to parallel to obviously the hips that are in position are the point of reference. To have your knees parallel, you need to have your feet parallel. If you open your feet out, you'll see that you're losing that hip distance apart. Knees go out of the alignment of the hips. If you turn your toes in, same thing, you're losing the alignment of the legs. So you want to have the feet parallel, the ankles right underneath your knees. So that's why also I chose today to go in this position versus the other one. And I'm gonna scoot back so you can see it a little better with the lighter color on my couch. You want to have the shin bones perpendicular to the floor in a 90-degree angle or so. Because if you put your feet out like this, the distribution of the weight of the legs shift towards the heels, and you're not distributing evenly, and that's what we're aiming to. And if you pull them back, same, the shift of weight goes towards the toes. So you want to have the broadest surface of support, meaning that the whole feet are supporting evenly the weight of the legs. And that gives you access to the floor and to use the floor as an instrument for movement, so that the movement is not restricted to, let's say you're moving the arms and you're swinging. You can swing thinking I'm just swinging the arms, or you can press into the feet one at a time, and that gives you more strength and also more freedom of movement, because the back starts feeling supported and can trust that the movement is safe to engage in, and therefore it becomes a lot more fluid. But to have that access, you need to have a good support underneath your feet. So all this being said, this is the position we're starting in, and that we come back to over and over again. And finally, you rest your hands on top of your lap, and you close your eyes, and we take a moment here to find our seated position, to connect to our bodies, and most essentially to connect to our breath. breath that flows spontaneously, automatically throughout the day and the night, from the moment we're born until we die. And so we easily take it for granted and forget about it. And in this kind of modality, in this kind of technique that we're using together, mindful movement, you want to bring the breath back to being the first and foremost thing that you're paying attention to. So mean that even when you're not moving, like right now, there's plenty to do and plenty to observe and plenty to fill the mind with, simply with the observation of the breath and noticing the quality of your own breath. Most of us, unfortunately, tend to breathe shallow and use just like 1/3 of the lungs or so, the upper part of the lungs. And you want to retrain yourself to go into the deepest, the widest, the most fulfilling breathing that you can. So that means that you start paying attention to it, and through paying attention to it, suddenly the body opens up to more availability to be able to breathe bigger, deeper, wider, which is not only good for your respiratory system, but for all of the systems, because we rely on oxygen. We can go on without drinking and eating for a certain amount of time, but you cannot go on without breathing. So find that breath in you, and find also the expression of your breath, meaning how your breath is manifesting into the body. You feel strongly an expansion, a contraction, a lengthening, a relaxing, a fullness, and then an emptiness. All those like polarities that the breath can come to you in. Do you feel it mostly on your torso, to the front of the torso? Do you feel it more on the rib cage? Do you feel it more around your head, into your nose? Where is the breath more prevalent as we start this practice? And then from the relationship to the breath, get into the relationship with the body and see if you can trust the floor to support you underneath the feet, and trust as well the chair to support you at the sit bone levels, supporting your back and your head. And in that trusting, allow yourself to sit a little heavier, not collapsing, but softening the body and relying onto the structural part of the body, meaning the bones, to keep you in position, so that you're taking the least effort to sit tall, and you're allowing your body to start relaxing any tensions that it's been holding on. And that might not be that obvious as we start the practice this morning, but stay with that intention of, yes, we're going to move, we're going to breathe, we're going to stretch, but can we do it from a place that is relaxed instead of tensing up and adding more tension to what the body is already experiencing? And notice last thing here, where those tensions are. Where are the areas of your body that you can already sense that it's tight, it's tense, it's not at ease, it's slightly achy and uncomfortable? And let's take 2 more breaths. Deep inhale through the nose and long deep exhale through the nose. And 1 more deep breath in and out. And gently open your eyes. And we're going to start with some spontaneous stretches, meaning you're going to stretch your body as if you were getting up in the morning in any and all ways that feel good to you, without really doing what I'm doing, just doing your own stretches. What is naturally your body want to stretch and open. And when we observe nature, when we observe close to us, our cats or our dogs, they're so natural at it, at stretching several times in the day. They're not allowing tension to get trapped in their body. They're really good at maintaining that soft relaxation, even when they're moving and they're walking and doing other things. And one component of that is that anytime that they feel a little stiffness here and there, they start stretching out. And so that's what you need also to connect to here, like finding stretches that feel good to you. And then from those natural spontaneous stretches, let's come back to that initial position. And now we're going to go into more structured stretching of the neck, gently from side to side. And see if it's easier to tilt your head to the right or to the left. And go easy does it. No need to go forcefully and wanting to compete against yourself on how far you can tilt the neck. Just go nice and loose. You can go even slower than I'm going. And connect to that deep breath that is coming into the body and releasing the body. And now we're going to add the arms. And so you're going to let your arms drop to the side and then use the tilting of the arms and shoulders. The head is still moving from right to left, down to the shoulders. And you're allowing your body to get a little more attuned with the movement of the spine from the low and mid spine all the way to the neck. And now you're going to add the feet action. So when I'm tilting to the right, I'm pressing into the right foot, so I'm not losing my connection here or struggling holding up with the torso. Keep the torso relaxed and press into the right foot, and that gives you the topper here. And then come back up, and as you go to the left, press firmly into the left foot. And we're going to do this a few more times where you're switching how you're pressing on your feet from foot to foot, from side to side, as you keep on moving your spine from side to side. Couple more. Back to center. Now we're going to stretch right arm up, left hand on top of the leg. Right arm up. You're going to flex your hand as if you were pushing the ceiling away. So my hand is flexed. My fingers are pointing in towards the top of the head. And I'm pushing that ceiling up and pressing at the same time down into the feet and into the sit bones. Press up. Open up, deep, 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 and relax. Keep on breathing as you're doing this. Don't hold your breath just because you're holding the stretch. Then bring your left arm up, flex your hand, press to the ceiling, fingers toward the top, above the top of the head, and then stretch up and lengthen, push down into the sit bones on the chair, push down into your feet on the floor. Breathe long. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Activate the arm and the side body and relax. And feel and notice already the difference in your arms and the size of the body. And then we're going to bring the hands together. Interlace the fingers to rotate the palms out. Stretch the arms forward. Inhale. And exhale, bring them up. If you're not able to go all the way to aligning with the ears, you can have them forward, but keep on pressing away into those hands. And stretch the torso up. And then we're going to inhale and lower the top of the hands down to the top of the head. And then exhale, push up. Again, if you're not able to pull your arms all the way up and back, you bring them forward and you bend the elbows, you bring your hands to your forehead and you push away. So whichever angle works for you, Bring in and out. Inhaling, you bend the elbows. And exhale, you push out. Inhale. And exhale, press and push. Breathe in. And out. And last one, breathe in. And out. Bringing your hands back down to your head. Flip your palms down. Relax your hands on your head. And we're going to do a little tilting here, just gentle and easy from side to side. And your hands are really grounded on your head. You're not having your hands above the head. Can you imagine that some of you might want to do that, not to mess up your hair, but guess what? You're at home, nobody's seeing you, and you can take care of your hair afterwards. So trust and ground your hands on top of the head. And now you're using the tilting of the elbows from side to side to also give a little massage to the head. As you're grounding your head with your hands, then the sides of the neck can relax. And coming back to center, now we're going to switch the hands to behind the head, not to the neck, but kind of mid-head, not to the top, not all the way to the base of the skull, just midway. And you're going to tilt to the right, then close the elbows in and round around to the left, and then open the elbows out and lift back up. Tilt to the right, close the elbows in, spread between the shoulder blades, your head comes in a little bit, rotate out to the left, reach out and open, and lift. One more to this side. Tilt to the right, close in, round in, chin in, go around, open to the left, and lift up. Let's go the opposite direction. I'm going to tilt out to the left, close in, go out to the right, open to the right, and lift up. Inhale, exhale to the left, close, inhale across, exhale, open, inhale up, exhale to the left, close, inhale across, exhale, open your wings, and lift up, and last one, exhale to the left, close in, inhale, hug across, exhale, open to the right, and lift up, and release your arms out, stretch out, spread the fingers, rotating your palms in and back. You're trying to bring the front of the hands forward and then rotate the arms all the way to the hands and see if you can flip your palms up. So you're trying to aim to a 360 rotation of the arms. Rotate in and back, rotate out and up, and open. And feel the rotation from the shoulders. See, my shoulders are rolling forward and rolling back. Now you're tweaking and twisting the arms all the way to the fingers, keeping your palms stretching out as you spread the fingers wide. 2 more. Keep on breathing here. And last one, see where your inhale naturally wants to go. Followed by your exhale, keep on moving. And release, hands down to the lap. Feel your arms, your shoulders, your neck, your head, feel it all. Deep, nice, long breath. Bringing the arms forward, palms facing down, arms shoulder high, and we're gonna paddle with the hands. But this time your fingers can be slightly open, or for more resistance, you close the fingers together. And keeping your hands reaching out. Feel the strength through your arms. You can have, and I highly suggest you have, a micro bend in the elbows, so you're not completely locking your elbows in. You soften, but keep the resistance going through your arms. Keep your shoulders down. No need to go too high in your paddling. It's just like a few inches up and down. And breathe. Keep on breathing, keep on moving. And then we're gonna open out. And you feel more unstable here, right? There's a little like moving from side to side. And then come back in and you find your center again and your stability. And then again, experience and experiment with opening out and feeling a little wobbly here. And that's where it's important to ground your sit bones and your feet, and then bring it back in and feel stability again. And one more, open out. And bring it back in. And now slowing down, we're gonna broaden the opening and closing. Big out and back. And back to center and switch arms, open back, press with your right palm back and your left, the back of the left hand back. So both are pressing back in opposite direction, one down and the other one up. If you have an arm to your chair, you broaden out your arm and you reach out sideways. And keep on going, keep on moving, you stretch. Breathe in, breathe out as you open and stretch back. Breathe in as you transition. Breathe out as you stretch. Two more. Breathe in. Breathe out. And last one. Breathe in. Breathe out. Coming back to center and releasing your hands back down on top of your lap. Take a few breaths here. Deep breath in and out. And now let's go into the mid-spine and go into a few circles where you're circling from the rib cage, the base of the rib cage, out and around. So you're trying to keep the low part of the torso anchored in position. If you wish, like me, you can place your hands here to the lower ribs so that you have not only a sensation of rotation from just the pure movement, but you're feeling with your hands. You feel the movement of the ribs, the stretching across, back, and forward. Look at a fixed spot in front of you so you prevent getting dizzy here. And reverse, rib cage floating out, rolling to the side, back to the other side and forward. Trying to find fluidity in the movement. And back to center, release your hands down. Now we're gonna access the lowest part of the spine in rotation. So you're gonna press down to the sit bones and the whole torso is rotating out, back, side. So you feel a shift between one sit bone, rolling back toward the tailbone, the other sit bone, and a tilting of the pelvis and the pubic bone forward as you rotate forward. And reverse, full spine rotation from the base. You're tracing a circle on top of your chair. One more. Back to center, hands slide out to the top of the knees. And we're gonna start the spine waves, rocking the hips forward and back. and going straight into the full spine movement. So you're arching as you bring the hips forward. I'll go sideways this way this time. So you go forward and not forward like this, but forward like shoulders back, chest forward, arching of the back, tilting the hips forward. And then you rock the hips back and you're round, you drop your head down. Inhale, stretch forward, chin away, exhale, round in. So you can start with tiny movement. If your back is a little tender here, you can go into those little waves. And then as your back gets a little more open, more available for a broader range of motion, then you crank up into going a little broader, a little wider, a little deeper in the movement of your spine. And then eventually you go to the maximum range of motion that your body allows today. And therefore, you can pause at the very end of the movement on both ends. You take the time to really explore how deep you can go. So when I'm rounding back, I'm also using the belly to pull in the navel to the spine. I'm thinking about spreading the shoulder blades apart so the front of the shoulders are rolling in. And then I go opposite direction, complete opposite effect. I want my shoulders to pull back. Shoulder blades are coming together and squishing in. I'm lifting and opening the chest forward and up. And I'm arching my back as much as my back is allowing to do. And I feel the breath here. And again, round in, squeeze in, chin down. And expand out and away, elbows pulling back, shoulders opening, chin away, open the throat. And back to neutral. Stay here for a breath or two. Feel the effect on your back, on your spine. And now we're gonna go into a movement where we're gonna work with the spine, but at the same time, we're gonna go into circular motion from going down, forward, up, and back to sitting. So we're gonna go first extending forward. Let's do, yes, we're gonna do in one direction first. So you're gonna gently arch shoulders back and then hinge from the hips to come forward. And then when you cannot go any further, you drop your head, you push feet into the floor, hands into the legs, and you roll your spine up one vertebra at a time. Come back up, inhale, arch and come forward. Exhale. Inhale, roll up. Exhale, stay. Inhale, arch. Coming forward, exhale. Inhale, roll and round up. Exhale, stay. So here again, play with using your feet. So you're coming forward, you're shifting the weight naturally to heavier on the feet. And then you're relaxing down. And now I'm pressing from the feet, especially from the heels, to roll the spine up instead of just relying on the back muscles and belly. Inhale, tilt forward, feel the shift of weight. Exhale, come down, relax your head. Press up from feet to hands to roll back up. And exhale, stay. Last one in this direction. You're gonna inhale, gently arch and come forward. Exhale, come forward and stay here. See if you can stay a little bit, not too long. If you have high blood pressure, keep your head parallel to the floor. If you don't have high blood pressure, you can relax your head down and shake it a little bit. Relax the belly as much as you can as you bring support here through holding and pressing into your hands. And then all together, let's roll the spine up. and come back to sitting. Now we're going to go for just a few rounds in the opposite direction. So we were going forward and rolling up in this direction, the circle was going. And now we're going to go into the opposite direction. So to be able to do that opposite direction, we're going to start with the chin down, and you're going to round in as if you were a snail, rounding and rolling inside their house. And come as rounded as possible down toward the space between the legs. And when you cannot go any further, you start extending the spine out and away, chin away, start coming up, shoulders back, gently arch, and back to neutral. Inhale, exhale, curl in, round in, look at your navel, dive forward, feel the stretch through the back, and then inhale, extend forward, lift and rise, push from the hands, and back to neutral. 2 more, curl in, round in, coming forward, find your edge, push floor, press hands, lift and extend, and come back up, and stay and breathe. You can even take a little pause here, close your eyes, and really tap into how the body's feeling. It is very important when you're moving. Mindful movement involves also being in touch with how the body's feeling, how the body is receiving the movement that you engage in, and what is the after effect of those movements. What do you feel different in your body when you stop moving and come back to this neutral position? Good. Let's open the eyes. If you had your eyes closed, we're going to do a little bit of a leg stretch before we stand. We'll do a little more standing today. Slide your right foot out to the front, flex the foot, toes towards you, and then both hands on top of the left knee. You're going to point and flex the foot 5 to 7 times. And flex the whole foot. So start with the ball of the foot curling up, and then you flex at the ankle. You feel the stretch all the way to the back of the leg. And when you're pointing forward, you feel a stretch and a strengthening to the front of the leg. So let's go into those opposite polarities from the back of the leg to the front of the leg. And stay in your flexed foot, anchor your heel, right hand to the right leg. We're going to slide out and down. Find a spot where you can hang out. So importantly here, what you don't want to do is place your hand on top of the knee and press into the knee down. So either if you're really tight, you place your hand on top of your thigh and you can press in here, and you'll notice immediately that you access the stretch to the back of the leg a little differently when you're pressing the leg down here. Be mindful, don't overdo it. If it feels uncomfortable on the knee, whether it's the top of the knee or the back, then don't press. Just stay here and press into the left hand to support and flex your right foot back, and that's enough of the stretch. If you're a little more flexible, you can go down past the knee onto the shin and breathe. And if you have even a little more space to work with, but to work with ease and comfort. I don't want you to go just because you're like, I'm saying it, and you're like, I can do this. And then you're rounding and struggling and you're not breathing anymore, right? There's a huge difference between reaching out to your toes, which would be your next level here, to touch the toes or pull the toes back if you're flexi. But you're hinging from the hips. You're not rounding here and forcing your back and closing your lungs just because you want to reach to the toes. If this is what's happening, then I'd rather you have your hand resting here and try to find that space for the lungs to expand than struggling into closing and tightening everything just because you want to touch your toes. But some of you I know for a fact from when we were doing those classes in presence and I could watch you all, some of you are flexible. And therefore, why doing less when you can go and be even more comfortable into rolling those hips forward more and reaching down, and my chair is sliding out. Hopefully yours is not. And reaching down and staying into that forward fold comfortably from a hinge of the hips. And then whoever is in whatever position, we're all together going to press into the left foot and into the left hand to slide back up. Point your toes down, bring your right arm up and stretch back. Stretch, stretch from the leg to the arm and relax down. Slide that right foot in and let's go to the other side. Sending your left leg forward, flex the foot, and we're going to go hands on top of the right knee so that we can tilt the hips already forward, ground into that right leg and flex and point your left foot. 5 to 7 times minimum. Curling the toes, pressing down into the ball of the foot as you stretch your foot forward. Breathe all along. And last one, flex the toes and flex the ankle back. Feel the stretch to the back of the leg. Release your left hand and start sliding out. And again, hinging from the hips. For some of you, even if you're that flexible and able to go down with ease and being able to breathe, you can also switch to bringing your forearm and elbow on top of the leg to give the support. And then hang out here. Make sure that you keep your spine extending out, that you're not rounding in, you're not dropping your head down. You extend and reach, and you feel that relationship between a long back and the long stretchy back of the leg. Find your different modifications, different levels along the leg. Again, without struggling into wanting to be somewhere that your body is not really wanting to be in today. And pressing down into the right foot. If you're on your elbow, on your forearm, hand back to the knee and slide back up. Sliding your left foot back in. Bring your feet back to parallel, hands to the knees. Give a little shake to the legs here. And back to neutral. You're gonna grab this time, you're gonna have two options. Either the classic one that you interlace the fingers behind your leg and you use this to lift. And that would be the recommended version for anyone that has already struggles doing this, that maybe your belly is a little weak, your back is a little tense, your leg feels heavy. And so you wanna use all your props here to be able to relax in here and up. And you'll do here the hip rotations with the full support of the arms and hands. If you want to be a little more adventurous and you're pretty strong and you're active, not just with the mindful movement, but otherwise you have a strong core, then let's try it with just one hand. Left hand presses down into the left knee, right hand hugs the right leg, and we're going to open. You can move here, your left hand in, and you're gonna have here to engage your core a little deeper and work your right arm a little stronger because your right leg should ideally be completely relaxed. So these are the two options. Here with both hands and you're pulling your chest and your torso back to use gravity and the weight of your torso here. Or here you're engaging your core a little stronger and your arm. And all together, we're gonna come back to center and land back. Use your left hand for support to land. Shake your right arm out, especially if you were using just one hand. If you're using both hands, shake both arms out. And let's go to the other side. So again, either you're intertwining the fingers together behind the leg, you're pressing down into the right foot and tilting back, and that's where you're gonna start your rotations. Or right hand to the leg, left hand pulls up and use the core to rotate the leg. And breathe. Keep on breathing. Keep on moving. Couple more rotations. And let's tilt forward to land, pressing down into the right foot, land the left foot, and come back. Shake your arms out and your hands. And release. Feet slightly out, a little further out. So you're going to open about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to the side, and then realign the heels. So now your knees and feet are aligning to parallel, but they're not aligning with the hips. And we're going to press one knee at a time toward the other leg. So you're using your hand to the outside, right above the knee, not straight on the knee, but a little above on the leg. And you're pressing across, and you should feel the stretch to your inner thigh and outer thigh. You can roll on the inner edge of the foot here, and you get deeper into the stretch versus pressing down. So here, this is more stable and safer when you press your foot down. If your hip and knee are doing great, then you can roll in and feel deeper in the inner thigh stretch. And then pull up and go to the other side. Left leg in, reaching in toward the right knee. So you're not bringing the knees together to center. You're keeping the right leg in position to the right, and your left leg is coming in to meet the right leg. And you're using your left hand to press in. And breathe. And release back in. And now that you've experienced your edges on both sides, we're gonna go into movement alternating from side to side, pulling in, out, in, and back in position. And breathe all along. Couple more. One on each side. Back to center. Bring the heels in. And bring the heels together, toes out. And now you're going to use your hands to the inside of the legs to gently bounce your knees and legs to the side. Keep your feet in position. Press down into your feet so it's stable here. And give a little bouncing, a little pulsing of the inner thigh. Feel the stretch here. If it's achy, be mindful and do it slower and with less pressure, just to give that vibration all the way to the hip, but without overdoing it. If it feels pretty good, you can bounce a little stronger. A few more. And then stay with your knees open and bring the pressure in your inner legs, press down into your feet, and hold here for a bit. Try to not collapse back here. Keep rolling the hips slightly forward, press down into the feet, and open all the way to the inner hips here. And here you should feel your arms, especially the outside of your upper arms here, because of the pressure you're putting against the legs. So legs are stretching out and arms are strengthening. And release. Hold your knees back in, toes in. Squeeze knees, ankles, thigh, and glutes together. Tight, tight, tight. And tighten the belly just by the action of the legs engaging strongly and the glutes. You'll feel the action of the belly, but enhance that action of the belly. And then hands together and tight, tight, tight. Press your hands in and tight your arms. All tight, tight, tight in. And relax. Open heels, open toes. Bring yourself to hip distance apart again. Take a moment here to feel the whole body. And let's shift forward. Hands on top of the knees. Press down into the feet. Squeeze the pelvic floor muscles. Squeeze the belly. Shift a little further forward and lift and stretch up. Let's go to the back of the chairs. Repositioning myself so you can see me. Bring the feet hip distance apart. Same position that you had when you were sitting. Feet hip distance apart, knees and hips, everything in one line. Hips, knees, and feet. If your feet are out, then your knees are not in the center, they're pointing out. So that's where you want to bring your feet to parallel. And even to the extent, and we worked that like a few months ago, that if you turn your toes slightly in, a little further in, then automatically you'll feel the activation of the inner thighs. You feel a broadening into the low back. You feel also a softening to the front of the hip joint, to the groins. So you might want to experience that a little bit to feel that broadening. You're pressing down into your feet. Then look down and bring your feet back to parallel. Inner edges of the feet back to parallel. And notice the difference. And then hands come to the hips, and we're gonna do some hip rolls where you're gently pressing. So on Wednesday, we did this movement where you were pressing all the way out to the side from the hand to stretching. We're not going in that wide stretch, but I want you to experience a little like pressing into the hips that they're rolled to the side. So when I'm rolling my hip towards the right and across, I'm pressing a little bit with my left hand, and then I switch to the right hand when I'm rolling to the other side. A few more. And reverse direction, but you're still doing that pressing across from side to side. Back to center, hands to the low back. I'm gonna go back. So you have the base of the palms on the flat bones and the fingers down. And we're gonna go into rotating, pressing one side and the other side. So when you're going forward, you're kind of pressing a little bit across into the low back. And then you're gonna come to center, and you're gonna press your hips forward a bit, feel a little bit of compression, and relax back. I'm gonna go sideways for this one. You press the hips forward with your hands and pull back. And forward and back. So when you're going forward, you should feel the stretch to the front of the hips here, and a little bit of a compression in your low back. And then you release back, and your thighs go back, and you tilt the tailbone back a little bit. So find that rocking motion of the hip. Your knees are softly bent. So my natural breath rhythm here is that I'm exhaling as I'm coming forward, and I'm inhaling as I'm coming back. Two more. And back to neutral. I'm going back to the chair. You were right behind your chair. You didn't go anywhere. I just went so you could see me. And then we're going to shift the weight to the left foot and stretch the right leg out. Do a little kick with your right leg. Press the right leg down. Shift the weight to the right leg and kick with your left foot out. And we're going to do this a few more times. Shifting from your left to from the center to the left foot. Kick your right leg out. Shift from your left side to the right side and kick your left leg out. And let's do two more times, really shifting the full weight. Ideally, if you were working your balance right, you should be able to do it without the chair. I'm not asking you to do that because I want you to feel stable, but that's how much you have to shift the weight from one side to the other side so that you can freely move and kick the leg. Two more. And stay. Come back to your stable standing position here. And we're going to shift the weight to the left leg again. As we're shifting the weight, make sure that you're lengthening at the same time. You're not just shifting and collapsing here and like hanging like, oh, what are we going to do next? You're lengthening, stretching up, pressing down into your feet. That's the support. Lengthening and growing tall to the crown of the head. Maybe you can gain an inch or two of your height. And then you shift the weight, shift the hips, sliding and bring the weight right on top of the left leg. And then you're going to bring your right foot back. You're going to come onto the ball of the foot and give a little stretch to the toes here. And then we're going to do a little movement here with the bending of the knees. So you're going to bend both knees and squat down a little bit. Even if it's half an inch, you bend and then you stretch out. And you bend and you stretch out. Bend and breathe. And stretch and breathe. And one more. Bend and breathe. And stretch and breathe. Bend and stay. And as you stay here, you squeeze your belly and you squeeze the pelvis muscles. And then relax and stretch up and release the right heel down. Square the hips. So see if you can move the hips as I'm moving them. So I'm going to face you. So you give a little movement to the hips from side to side. It's like there's an app that younger people use nowadays called boomerang effect on Instagram. And so you do a movement a couple of times and then it gives a little animated movement picture where you're repeating the movement that way constantly. So we're not going to do it constantly for too long, but hands either on the chair or hands up, and you give a little attitude to your hips from side to side, a little shaking as well as the hands. Pause, hands down to the chair, and here stretch into the legs as you come forward. You're going to hang out on top of the chair here. If you're really, really tight, and that can happen to a lot of people that you're not able to do this without rounding, then bend your front knee a little bit and see if you can relax that mid-spine in its natural curve again. And once you've been here for a bit, maybe then you'll be able to straighten the leg a little bit, not completely. What you're trying to aim though is to have the back leg straight. The front knee can leverage and give some room to areas that are tight, but you want as much as possible to have the back leg straight. Because if you start bending the knee, not only you're not getting the stretch you need here that we're aiming to, but that can put also into an awkward position your knee joint, your back knee joint. And breathe. And then if you're really comfy here, you can even hang out, bringing your arms crossing over on top of the chair, and you can relax your forehead down and breathe. And pressing up, bring your hands back to the chair, lift up. See if you can shift back a little bit and lift your front foot. So you're flexing the toes, flexing the heel back, if that's available. If not, you leave it all together. Release the foot down, bend the front knee, and step up your right foot forward. Give a little swing to the hips from side to side. Then back to center, we're gonna step back the left foot, but first again, lengthen the body, become a little lighter here, and shift your weight to your right leg. Your left foot becomes light and easy to slide back. Find the toes and press into the toes. Press into the ball of the foot. Take 1 or 2 more breaths here before we go in movement. And then we're going to start bending the knees and dropping the sit bones down and then pressing up. And bend. Keep the legs active and push. And again, you modify. You go as little in the bending or as deep. If you're going deep, make sure you're not going deep forward like this. Keep the knee right on top of the ankle, and therefore you're shifting back as if you were gonna sit on a chair behind you. That's the intention. Couple more. And the next one, we're gonna stay into the bend knee position, and you're gonna squeeze your belly, squeeze the pelvic floor, squeeze, 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 hold, and press up. Stretch up, bring your left heel down, and again, either with your hands on the chair or your hands up, and you're gonna give a little movement to the hip, from the side to back. The right hip is sliding to the right and up. A few more here. Hands here if you're not stable. And back to center, square the hips to the front. Make sure the back leg is straight, straight, straight. You can bend your front knee if you're not able to leverage those two with two fully straight legs. And let's come forward. And hang out here. Find the first position that you're a little higher. So you can even come forward on your hands and bending the elbows. But make sure, again, you're not doing this. We're not rounding here. Hinge again from the hips. Same movement we were doing on the chair. You're rotating the hips under, and tailbone is pointing forward and up. Back, not forward, back and up. Once you stay here and you feel a little more comfortable, you might be able to come to your forearms if you were up on your hands, or you can also cross your arms and bring the forehead down on your arms and breathe and stretch. Deep, long breath. Pushing up. Hands to the chair, bending the front knee if you need. And then see if you can shift back and flex that right foot, pulling your toes back. Drop the foot back down. Shift your weight forward as you bend the front knee. And close. Left foot parallel to the right. Give a little swing to the hips. Come back to center. Step back a little further away from the chair. Arms to the side. And we're going to swing the arms from side to side as we're twisting. Feet stay in position. And you're just swinging and twisting. From right to left, left to right. Head is following. You can go and look all the way back, which rotating the head further back might increase the range of motion of the spine and shoulders, being able to go a little further back. And slow down, come back to center. Come back to standing here. See if you're able to close your eyes and stay in balance here. If this is too scary to do with your eyes closed and your hands to the side of the body, you can grab the chair with your hands and close your eyes and kind of challenge your balance here, but still feeling safe. And opening the eyes, we're going to go and sit back on the chair. We're at the close of our session. So find your seated position with your feet hip distance apart, feet right underneath the knees, hands resting on your lap. And let's close the eyes again here and find a landing. We're now going full circle from the beginning of the class where we started right here to now. And hopefully with all we did in between, the way you're perceiving your breath and your body right now is a little or quite different from the beginning of the class. Notice if your breath has become smoother and deeper and wider and you're able to experience fuller breath. Notice if the body has a little less tension here and there and is feeling more grounded, more comfortable and at ease in this seated position. Allow the weight of the arms to drop off the shoulders to the elbows, to feeling the support of hands to legs. Feel your legs relaxed and heavy all the way to how you're perceiving the weight on top of your feet and how you're perceiving the connection between the sole of the feet and the floor. And maybe you feel that your feet are going deeper into the floor as if the surface was sand and you were able to bring the feet 1 inch or 2 inches in and down into the sand. Just by the sense of weight and grounding. And then feel your torso and notice if you're able to sit tall with a nice neutral spine that has its curves. But at the same time, you're feeling light and long and stretching up to the crown of the head as the outer and inner body are soft and relaxed. Feel the rise and fall of the breath. Maybe you're experiencing it as expansion and release. Maybe even feeling a mild contraction of the belly when you reach the bottom of the breath out. So now the belly has regained its power and functionality of supporting the breathing, especially for the lowest part of the lungs. Receiving the breath in is the most natural thing to do. As you relax everything, the breath comes back in. And then to exhale the breath out, then there's a little muscular action that naturally occurs from the action of the diaphragm to the action of the belly. Then feel your head and notice how your neck is doing. Notice if by any chance your chin is pointing out, meaning poking out. So see if by sliding your chin a little in, just a tiny bit, you're able to find a different and more supportive angle and positioning of your upper spine that allows the neck not only in one direction, but all around to relax and soften a little bit more. Relax the jaw. That means that your teeth are not clenching in together. You're allowing a little bit of space to arise between upper and lower teeth, and you relax your tongue. Maybe you're slightly touching the tip of the tongue to right behind the upper teeth. And the rest of the tongue is relaxing down and back. Relax your face from the corners of your mouth to your cheeks, to the sides of the nose, to the eyes and the forehead. Relax all around your head, all around your skull, relaxing your skull. Softening and relaxing your ears, not just your physical ears, but your inner ears and how you're perceiving sound, how you're perceiving my voice. Relaxing into any other sounds around you in the room. No expectations to react to them, nor doing anything about it, not even paying close attention to what those sounds are. Just allowing the sounds to soften, but in a way that you're still present and witnessing that there are sounds happening around you. And come back to the breath. And feel the breath now in the center of the chest. And notice if you have a sense that your heart is a little calmer and more peaceful. Maybe you can sense the heartbeat. And we're going to bring one hand on top of the chest, flat hand on the chest, and then the other hand on top of that first hand. Kind of a hugging of the heart space with the hands. Feel the warmth transferring from the hands into the chest. And pressing your hands into the chest a little bit. Start rotating and rubbing in circular motion, sliding and gliding those different layers of skin and flesh on top of the rib cage, sliding and gliding them on the ribs. And breathe. Heart massage. Deepen the breath as it becomes more available, as there's a softening happening in that space. We tend to hold a lot around the heart space, whether it's the emotional heart or the physical heart. So can you soften in being present here and now with no worries of any kind to have? And we're going to release those hands from the chest to place them on top of the eyes. And let that softness from the hands go into the eyes. And when we're ready, we can wipe the face with the hands gently and releasing the hands down. And opening the eyes to surroundings, to objects, to colors and shapes. And I'm coming to you, and I'm kind of losing my voice. I taught a class for 3 hours yesterday, and I guess I forced my voice a little bit. I'm going to stop the recording right here.